I am joined by now a four-time challenge champion, Jordan Wiseley. But Jordan, you're not just a challenger, man. You know, you've got a lot of things going on in your life. Of course, you're a world champion now, but you're also looking to become a professional. Well, I guess technically you are a professional race car driver
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
Uh, so just going through your social media pages, Jordan, looks like you did a race a few weeks ago with the Diley Motorsports Group. Can you just, I guess, walk us through, like, what is your journey like as a professional driver? Like, it sounds like this has been a dream of yours for a long time.
Yeah, I know. It sounds kind of random, like so like anyone who like doesn't know me, but for anybody who knows me or like grown up around me, like racing has been super heavy like in my life. Like motocross was like my number one love. But it just you get hurt and you don't get scholarships for motocross, so it was always sports like stick and ball sports were always kind of like pushed on us, and then I just got in a really amazing position with Hyundai. They pulled me on as an ambassador and ended up being around the race scene and met some people, and they put me in a car and figured out that I could drive pretty dang fast, and then the rest was kind of a blur, honestly. Like they basically go, "Hey, we have a big race coming up. Do you think you can get your pro license in like 6 weeks?" And I was like, I mean, what do I got to do? And they're like, well, you just got to race, you just got to like build up a resume and then apply for a pro license, and then they have to like approve you. I was like, okay. They put me in a car, and so they're like, yeah, you just got to get some races under your belt. So I'd fly out to different places, and they'd have a car ready. We picked a bunch of races, as many as we could within the 6 weeks, and I'd literally fly out. They'd have a car ready. I'd race. I podiumed at pretty much every stop. I had one stop where I got crashed out. So on one race we didn't finish, but we bent a tie rod on a wheel and brought it back in. The crew got it fixed within an hour, and we were back out for the next race. So it's been a huge learning curve, but I like being a student again. I think like that's like the number one thing is like I'm right back to like I have to listen to what everyone's saying. This isn't something that I've been doing in a second nature yet.
Right. It's not like the challenge where you show up and you've been there, done that. You've won it several times. You pretty much know what's going
Yep.
on. Um, Now you've actually documented your whole journey, I guess, becoming a professional race driver. It's on your YouTube series. The first episode for your series is called Just Drive. Can I guess you just let
Yep.
us know, like, what's your vision with that series? So just one episode is released, came out a few weeks ago. What are you doing with that, Jordan?
Yeah, that is as soon as I and like my team around me and everything, as soon as we realized the team at Strapped Media, they're like, yo, like is this a real opportunity? Like is this actually a thing, or are you just going out and like driving cars at a track? And I was like, no, I was like, I think they actually want me to like race for Hyundai professionally. And they're like, well, we're gonna shoot it. And I was like, okay. So from that point on, we've just been shooting everything, just following the whole story, and really the goal is to I'd love to get it out there much bigger. We're trying to with the YouTube series, with the episodes going on YouTube, we're trying to build awareness and build an audience there. And what we'd really like to do is go back and actually tell this story the right way in 30 to hour long episodes, and do a series, a full, multi-episode series documenting trying to get the pro license, getting that license, and now trying to swim in this ocean that is all professional drivers, flying around like that. The most nerve-wracking thing for me was literally going out there and knowing that I have somebody else's safety in my hands. Like we're all out there trusting each other that we're gonna drive correctly and not put anyone in danger, and I have to gain their trust. So that was something that was the most nerve-wracking thing to me. It was like hopping in and letting them know that, and that's what Just Drive, that is what that captures is all the nuances and the fears that go into like doing something new.
So at the start of the first episode in that Just Drive series, you say that you're like your dream has always been to become a professional race car driver. Now that you've done that, what's your new dream within this lane here?
This one isn't over. It's like that's one thing to become it, but you guys know me. Like I'm not just gonna do it to do, and I want to show everyone, including the field of drivers and everything that I'm now with, is like this isn't just like okay, conquered it and I'm done. I'm here to do well at this. I'm here to conquer, not just do it, but conquer this thing as well. I want to get to the point where I can show up, get in a car, and be contending for race wins. It's not just I'm happy to be on the starting grid. It's no, I plan to come out here and take this anything that I do, I take very seriously. I'm not going to waste my time. I figured out a couple years ago that I have a finite amount of like power that I can give at any one given time. And so I am very choosy about what gets that power. But when I decide to give my attention to something, it's like, hey, you decided to give some power to this, so you better go all the way, as hard as you can. Don't squander this. So that's we're not done yet. We got the first part of this hill, but we're gonna keep pushing on this stream.
Now, just for somebody that doesn't really know the professional driving world, how long does it take, Jordan, for you to become like the guy that is on the podium every single time, that is, taking over the sport, I guess? What's the timeline?
That's there's been drivers in the past who've, been 17, 18, 19 years old and they came right out and at the gates and were contending. And then there's drivers who really didn't start contending until they were in their like late 30s, early 40s, and driving is such a mental game that the age range is very wide. Like one of my teammates is seven. He's the youngest driver on the grid, 17 years old, Jacob Diley. And but when you talk to him, he sounds and he the wisdom that he has behind the wheel of the car, you think he's 40 years old, right? And then I've talked to other guys who have been in the sport for a long time, but they sound like dummies. With this, like I don't know, the I guess if you were to say how long does it take to even become a professional driver, most people would say more than 3 months, for sure. So I don't know. We kind of broke or flipped that process on its head. I want to like my expectations, Steven, are I'm gonna race the rest of the 2023 season, and we're gonna go out there with the expectations of learning. 2023 is about learning, and then I expect in 2024 to come and be a contender there. I need to be fighting for podiums. We need to be as a team, we need to be fighting in the top five, both cars fighting in the top five. So and this is Jacob, this is his first year in IMSA as well. So for all of us, this is a year to learn. But 2024, I think Daily Motorsports comes back really tough.
Now, another thing that you have going on in your life, in like the professional driving realm, is actually a new movie that's coming out called Helmet, where
Yep.
you're in the leading role and you play an ex-professional driver.
Yeah.
And it comes out at the Dances with Films Festival in California. I believe July 1st is when it premieres, Jordan. Can you, I guess, tell the people, man, like what is this movie about, and how did you get involved?
This is like my whole like last like 6 months, to a year have all been like very serendipitous. I actually did this film before racing was like even on the docket, so it just like all like kept compounding on itself. It's a super fun story. It's based on a true story as well, based on a real character. Bart Rome is his name, and they called him Helmet back in the day because he just had wild hair. And I had a friend of mine who got introduced to Bart. He called me and he goes, man, I've got this guy. Like, one, I think you and this guy would just like sit around and talk for hours. But two, I want you to play this guy. And here it is. He drove race cars and then he got in some real bad wrecks and then he had to like stop driving, and so he started towing cars in Los Angeles. I was like, okay. He's like, but bro, he was telling me these wild stories of the tow truck like life back then in the 70s. And basically it was first come, first serve. So whoever got there first got the tow and got paid for it. So you could see how that would breed like competition, in that like they're fighting each other to get there. They start causing their own wrecks. So then like they're the first one to like set booby traps and things like that. But then also because they're driving all over the city, they also start moving drugs and things. So gangs and drugs, and think the Dukes of Hazzard and Sons of Anarchy. Think they had a baby, and that is Helmet. It was super fun. Did a lot of driving for it, which was that's what I was very attracted to that. And then also got to use the Mustang that's used in the film is actually my personal. So I thought that was fun to get to use that.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because we do see that Mustang on your socials all the time, and then
Yep.
it looked like the exact same car in the trailer. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, the director was like, "Hey, I see you have this area appropriate car." He's like, "Would you like to use it?" I was like, "Yes, yeah, I would." He was like, "Cool," and then because I also stunt drive as well, and it like when it's your car, you feel a little bit more like free, and so I was like, "Yeah, we'll do this, and we can get some like extra shots." He was like, "Okay."
nice. So wait, are you telling the people, Jordan, you grew out that mullet for a movie role and not because you just wanted to grow it out?
Oh no 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 no! The mullet was even before the movie role, and then they were like, I was like, hey, like for hair, what do you guys think? And they're like, honestly, we love the mullet. I was like, good. I'm gonna pick it out and I'll make it real big for the movie. And they're like, okay, that's perfect. So it was like I said, it's all just worked out so well. That I had the mullet. They were looking for a '70s guy, racer. It's all been pretty amazing.
So another thing you got going on too, Jordan, because you got everything going on, is you have a production company, Strapped Media. So you
Yep.
have people probably know you have Strapped MFG, which is an apparel company that you've had for a few years. Now you have
Yep.
Strapped Media, which is a production company. You guys just released a
Mm-hmm.
movie a little while ago, The Stalking Fields, just streaming on different platforms. I believe it's on Apple, Plex, I believe.
Everywhere, yeah. Anywhere you can buy or rent. I think it's now on Tubi as well. So if you have a Tubi, you can watch it there. Um, yeah.
So what's going on? So what's the vision for your production company, Jordan? So you guys are gonna be just hammering out movies. What's the plan with that?
Yeah. But that when I did the real world, that was for like wanted I did the real world to as a way to get into the entertainment industry. You know, um, when I did my interviews and stuff, I was like, I really didn't want to do it. I was like, man, I don't know what they do, and it's just like partying and drinking, and I'm gonna look like a fool, which I didn't disappoint. And but my family was like, yo, dude, if you want to be an actor, you got to get out of here and like you got to go make friends with like producers and things. And I'm like, all right, so this whole journey, like acting and creating films, my best friend in the world, AJ Cutler, he's still roommates today. Still, we live in LA together, and he made that film with me. Um, he was making films with a Sony Handycam back when we were like 16, 17 years old, and that is when I saw. I was like, this is how they like make movies. He was like, yeah, dude, you just like film it and then like cut it and like movie. I was like, dude. So from then on, we knew I was like, we want to make movies. So came out here. I actually started Strapped Media around the time that I started Strapped MFG as well. And I purposely named it all the same because I didn't want to have 13 different things. It's like, the guy that does Strapped. Oh yeah. They do movies, they do furniture, they do clothing. Yeah, we do everything. That's why we did it as MFG on that side as well, because I wanted to be a manufactured goods company. If one day I want to wake up and do metal art, then we can. It's a manufactured good that we can sell there, right? And I don't have to create another dang company to sell my art. So making films and stuff like that has been the goal throughout the last few years of starting the Strapped. We started doing a lot of music videos. Then we got into commercials. We've done commercials for Microsoft, T-Mobile. We build sets. I grew up doing construction, so we build 99% of our own sets of everything. I mean, we've built full on houses that where like the production company came in and they're like, hey, we want a house out here that looks like it's from the 1800s. Can you guys do that out in the middle of this field? And I go, yeah. And and then we go as far as like shooting our own features and pilots. um that's I love being behind the camera, like, because I love the creation, I love the control there, the teamwork. Like you're having to guide an entire team and everyone's looking at you to figure that out, if you're the EP or whatever you happen to be on that project. And then I love working with my friends, and films and television production is, you can invite anyone in there and they don't even have to have the skill, you know what I mean? Like it's so easy to learn and you can just throw them in. So I love having that to do with my friends.
So do you guys have a bunch of projects on the go right now? Are you working on another movie specifically, or are you just, what's going on right now?
Yeah, we've got a couple scripts that we have out and that we have optioned, and then we're just kind of waiting to see like what's the one to do. Strat Media is doing Just Drive as well. So, and that it those are tough because we travel so much. I like, and they have to come with me, all the equipment, everything. So that does take a lot of manpower for us, and we're small. We got three people here. But what we can, like, our thing is like, we're small, we're fast, we're nimble, we're efficient. But the product that you see from us is big. It feels very big, it feels very expensive, and that's our goal, is to do this conscientiously. Hollywood is known for waste. They just throw money away at wasting so much, and we take pride in like being efficient with everything and giving the money. We want to make sure the money gets to the people, not the corporations. So that's kind of a big focus when we're making anything. But future, we've got Just Drive going, and we've got some scripts. I'd love to be starting pre-production on another feature by the end of this year. That's a goal for us with Strat Media, is to have a feature starting and be ready to shoot probably spring, like, end of winter going into spring would be really nice. Like a March. I'd love to be shooting in March
Now
of
speaking of
24.
shooting, you just shot, well, a little while ago, the World Championship. And Jordan, you're a world champion now. Do you feel like a
Yeah.
world champion?
What, I do actually. It was a great cast, honestly. Like, it was a really stacked cast. The MVPs, I'll give it to them. I wanted to talk a lot of shit, but they came and they were ready to play, even though there was a little bit of a learning curve for them, because we play, Steven, we play a different game. The OG challengers, the vets, like, me, Bananas, CT, even Tori. You look at how she plays now compared to like how she used to play. Like, she's a whole different animal now. And we play hard. Casey, that was the number one thing the MVP said whenever after like the second challenge or so that we actually got to do together. They're like, "You guys are intense." And we're like, "Yeah, we play hard." They're like, we they kind of thought they were coming in to play like a game. We're like, "Nah, this ain't a game." I go, "This is our lives." Like, a lot of people, I go, especially the legends that were there, those are the ones, and these are some of the ones who they've sold out for this. Like, they've bought into the challenge, and we prepare, we stay ready, and you will always see us working at the end, or getting close to the end, fighting, like. And if we go out, it's a big deal because we work so hard to stay in.
Right. And now you mentioned this right when you won, Jordan, that like it had been a while since you did get a win, because your first three came like back to back to back.
Yep.
And then, you went on a few other seasons, it didn't go your way, and then you got back, you won with Chasm this
Did
season.
Total Madness and got wrecked in Total Madness. You know what I mean? Ended up separating his shoulder, breaking collarbone. Like, it was heading out of Total Madness sucked, and then we run right into COVID, and then Tori and I happen, and that was just tough. That's what made Ride or Dies for me. Ride or Dies will be one of the tougher seasons I've ever done, and probably will ever do. Just mentally stepping back into it, because it wasn't just Tori. It was literally stepping back after being hurt and being gone for a long time, and like me questioning, like, am I even going to be the same here? Will my reputation like still have the same weight when I walk back in, or are they looking at me like, fluke, you know, fluke? But the world champs meant a lot to actually get a good training camp. That was the thing, is I also went into Ride or Dies, zero training camp at all. I came from Tulum. Like, I was on vacation, eating ceviche. And actually, I had been in the desert for almost a month filming Helmet, wrapped Helmet, took a day of rest, and then flew and met friends in Tulum. And Tulum was supposed to be my like rest, because I had just done 50 days in Ukraine, came back, got 2 days of rest, started shooting Helmet. That was the only reason I came back from Ukraine, was because I had already booked Helmet. And so I was like, well, I've already committed this, so I've got to be here. And then it was just bang, 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 and then leave for Ride or Dies with 5 days notice. And I was just like, damn. So when I got home from Ride or Dies, they called and they go, you got 5 weeks. If we'd really like you to do this new thing called World Champs, and you've got 5 weeks. And so I took that time to really focus, really buckle down, get my body back to where it needed to be. Like, I needed to nurse some injuries that I'd kind of been neglecting back, and then just mentally find that competitor's place, and then went out there and yeah, got Kaz, and what an arc she had through the whole season. I was really, and in the beginning I was kind of like, I don't know, does she have that grit that you need to like bite down and just suffer when we get down to the end? And damn, she did. It's like, I'm so proud of her. She kicked ass, so got a great partner. We had a great run, great alliance. For as shaky as that whole thing was, we were in a good place like the whole time.
Now, were you aware, like, well, obviously you pay attention to the challenge. You were aware that these different competitions were going around, like going off around the globe, and they were going to come out with a world championship. Was that on your radar, where you're like, okay, well, these guys can have their fun now, and then like the champions are going to really come in and become the world champion? Like, what was your mindset?
No, I was completely, when they called and were telling us about the world champ thing, then we were all kind of getting confused. We're like, seems like we're saturating here, seems like the market's getting a little saturated. And then when they called for world champs, we were like, oh, we see. I was like, it's a way to give different regions of the world their own thing, but then they're gonna find a way to bring us all in and compete. And so I'm excited for it. It's because when you put like something like world championships next to a franchise like the challenge, it make it seem more like a sport.
Yeah, absolutely, it
and
does.
and that, my biggest thing is, I want like, I am begging anybody who thinks they're coming on the challenge, and all these people from Big Brother and Survivor and everything, don't think you're coming on for a game. This is not a game. You better come on and prepare as if this is your sport, that this is your professional sport. And when people hear world championships with it, I think that will trigger that. I want better competition. I want more competition. Like, I want this to be like, we are the best. We are the best competition show out there, and I want everyone to start bringing it the way that I bring it, and the way that Johnny brings it, and Casey and Tori and Laurel.
Yeah.
Like, we bring them, bring it.
Now, okay, now you're going to be walking around, Jordan, with this world champion accolade. You're already like, watching the shows whenever you're on it. You get a lot of cast members always talking like, oh, we got to get Jordan out before the final. Like, that's constant narrative whenever you're on a show. Now you're a world champion. Like, what are you expecting when you're walking into your next show?
Oh, yeah, this is like I don't know if anybody's like caught on, but I do this thing throughout my career that when I win, I don't come back the next season,
Mm,
and that's on purpose because they need to forget. They don't need to remember that I'm the guy all the time, you know. So I let them like build up their own dramas and the hardest thing for people to do in this game is to play smart and to play with their head and not their heart. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've made decisions like out of spite and things like that, and I got myself sent home on free agents. Like I would have won that final. Like Laurel and I were dominating everything. If I'd have just put pride aside, I'd have went to that final one. Um, but you got to learn to separate the game from reality because as soon as we get to the airport and they take our phones and we are now cut off, the circumstances are made up. So this is no longer real life. I mean, we're real people, but this is no longer real life. So you have to play the game at hand, and people want to play each other, and that's not how you do it. You got to play the game. So when they figure that out, then and that's I'll just keep playing that. I'm just gonna. It's hard to do the smart thing, and it's really hard to come into a game. The thing about our game that these other games don't have. Oh, come on. That these other games don't have is that uh you have to say our names to each other's face.
yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
so everyone can sit there and go, we need to get Jordan out, we need to get Jordan out. And they'll talk about it all day. But then when we have to sit down and we're all looking at each other and thing is, I'm nice. I'm nice to everyone. There's like it's not like I'm like a dick walking around either. So they're like, oh, can I say it? But he's gonna be mad, and I'm just, it's a lot harder to do than it is to like go over in the dark and write someone's name on a piece of paper and then lie about it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just two more for you, Jordan. A big part of the season, and I'm sure, I mean, you said it felt so great as when you and Johnny Bananas went into elimination, and going into that, he was 2-0 against you in eliminations, and you got that one back. How did that feel, Jordan?
So you know what? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about our record going into that. And I'm like, God damn, bro, is he my fucking Achilles heel? But it felt damn good to get it. And I mean, he had such a good partner with Justine, and then I had Kaz, so it was a great competition. I'm glad they were like able to be a part of that whole like as TJ said, Clash of the Titans. And I love that it was close. It really came down to the wire. I know Johnny thinks that we got like some big help or something from the crowd, but it was just he can listen to the crowd just as much as I can. You know what I mean? He's down there doing the same thing, and we are smart in that way. We use our entire surroundings. Even if our opponents are getting information, we're still taking that information and trying to decipher like, do I need to use it or not? And so, when I heard the crowd say attention to detail, that was the thing. And like they weren't going to tell me where it was because that's such a tough part when you got two friends down there. Who do you root for?
Right, right.
So it just I figured out the clue and he didn't.
What is the dynamic between you and Johnny now on these seasons? Now you've done back-to-back seasons. Since he came back, you've been on both seasons with him.
Yep.
You guys made
I
it to the
know
finals.
both of us left after Total Madness, and then we decided to come back at the same time. That was pretty wild, and we did not plan that either.
Yeah. What's the dynamic though? Because you guys got to the final together on Ride or Dies, and then this one, you guys looked like you guys were working together, and then obviously got thrown into elimination against each other. So what's that dynamic with you and Johnny?
A ton of respect. Like that's what it's all rooted in, and then that respect is like in the over the years turned into like an actual friendship. We have a lot in common. Like we most of our texting with each other is about our yards and like what we're using for like our grass and the aerators and things like that. So we truly do get along in life. And so in the game, we've got a lot of respect for one another, and we also know like nobody wants to see the top two teams go out in the first round. We want to watch them. We want to watch them fight for a championship. And Johnny and I being in a house, and there's others that we understand how to put on a show, and like I not only am I there to compete and win, but I'm also there to put on a good show. And I'm going to go for the people that make a good show, not make it easy, that make it look good. And that's why I've always played in a way of I go after the people that make good competition because that's what everyone wants to see. We don't go after the weaker people. So Johnny and I just, we started out on the opposite sides because I was the new guy coming in his turf. I'm obviously very loud. And that has just through competition and through time, we spend a lot of time around each other when we film. You know what I mean? When you're there for the whole time, and we usually are, that means we've spent over 2 months together, spending 18 hours a day with each other. So it's inevitable that you get to know each other on a personal level. And once we did that, it's just, friends.
And last one for you, Jordan. I mean, it's just talking to you. It's like super clear that you want to come back to the challenge. Like you're not going anywhere. You're not just because you're a busy, race car driver now doesn't mean that you're not gonna be on the challenge again. So, what's your goal with the challenge? I mean, are you looking to get beat Johnny's championship record? What?
Nah, records are, whatever. I'd have to do a lot, and that guy doesn't seem like he's slowing down soon either. So there's no telling. I definitely don't think I have 20 seasons in me, but I love competition, and the challenge is so special in that it's very mental. It's like being in prison when you're there, the way we're like cut off from everything. And then the finals. The finals are what I'm addicted to because I want like every time I get on a show, I sit there and pray every night that this is the hardest final we've ever done. I pray that TJ's actually telling the truth every time, that this is the hardest final we've ever done, because the harder it is, the better I will be. I go because I want to know how far I can go, and I think that you have to have that mindset. If you nowadays with the challengers that we have and the finalists and the way that everyone is preparing now, you got to have that mindset. That's what Johnny does, and that's why the dude's got 7. I just I want to compete, and I want to keep my reputation intact. I'm not handing out no easy wins, and if I show up, you can bet your ass that I expect to win.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, that's all I had for you, man. Super happy to talk with you. Congratulations again on the 4-time win. But not only that, man, being a movie star, starting your YouTube series, becoming a professional driver, working with your production company. So you got a lot going on. People can follow you on social media where you blast that stuff out. So appreciate it, man, for sure. And
Absolutely, Stephen. Thank you for having me, dude. It's good to talk to you again. Good to see you.